shall proceed with the degree ceremonies. Madam Secretary, what do you have to report concerning the candidates eligible for this degree?
I am pleased to submit the names of 283 candidates who have been approved by the State Executive Committee to receive their Old North State degree.
Our Constitution sets up minimum qualifications which must be met before candidates are eligible for election to this degree. Mr. Advisor, have you carefully examined and reviewed the records of these candidates?
I have, Madam President, and found all candidates fully qualified.
We will now proceed to raise these members to the State FFA degree.
The State FFA degree is the highest degree our state association can bestow. Some of you will one day earn the coveted golden key of the American FFA degree. We urge you to maintain throughout your adult lives the same enthusiasm and dedication that you bring to this ceremony today.
It is a great honor to be nominated for the State FFA degree. It is still a greater honor to be selected for this degree by your fellow members of the North Carolina FFA Association.
Your new achievement brings you greater honors as well as additional responsibilities. You have widened the field of your service and influence in the strengthening of agriculture, the most basic industry of our nation.
You've been encouraged to work towards higher degrees in the FFA. We commend you for your accomplishments and encourage you to work towards new and higher goals in this organization and in your future occupation.
In meeting the requirements of the Green Hand and Chapter FFA degrees, you were told that the golden charm of the State FFA degree was awaiting you. The bronze emblem of the Green Hand gave way to the silver emblem of the Chapter FFA degree, which has now evolved into that golden charm. This is symbolic of the growth and development in your chosen occupation. May the permanence of the rare and golden qualities of the emblem be a constant reminder of the strength of your education and the worthiness of your achievement. Therefore, on behalf of the North Carolina FFA Association, I confer upon you the State FFA degree, with its honors and privileges, and present to you this charm, the emblem of the degree.
From the Alexander Central FFA Chapter, Anna Harris, Kyle Sink. From the Avery County FFA Chapter, Emily Carver, Jeremiah Clark, Lane Hoyleman, Dakota Hudson, Sydney Johnson. From the Bandy's FFA Chapter, Marlia Benfield, Thomas Dollyhite, Toby Smith, Allie Willis. From the Beddingfield FFA Chapter, Haley Barnes, Grayson Howell, Ty Johnson. From the Brevard FFA Chapter, Matthew Skinner. The CB Aycock FFA Chapter, Kennedy Odom. From the Camden FFA Chapter, Justin Upton. From the Cape Fear FFA Chapter, Trey Bryant, Kayla Chimpoli, Caitlin Holloway, Bradley Jackson, Caitlin Keene, Richard Straley. From the Cedar Ridge FFA Chapter, Charles Bunker. From the Chowan FFA Chapter, Lily Bunch, Benson Byram, Parker Clayton, Alyssa Goodwin. From the Clayton FFA Chapter, Victoria Ward. From the Cleveland FFA Chapter, Olivia Bondurant. From the Clinton FFA Chapter, Holden Champion, Emmanuel Howell, Kyle McKee. From the Corinth Holders FFA Chapter, Isabel Frick, Haley Thompson. From the Crest FFA Chapter, Dakota Davis, Keely Marlowe, Lainey Qualls. From the Currituck FFA Chapter, Kendal Carroll, Madison Floyd, Emma Wall, Lauren Wiggins. From the Cuthbertson FFA Chapter, Caitlin Clement, Allie Kirk, Thomas Lines, Kylie Scholler. From the D.H. Conley FFA Chapter, Colby Cannon, Dylan Nyes. From the Davie County FFA Chapter, Hunter Leroy. From the East Burke FFA Chapter, Andy Brown, Haley Fortenberry, Madeline Smith. From the East Duplin FFA Chapter, Taylor Dail. From the East Wake FFA Chapter, Chloe Huggler, Joseph Krebham, Keith Reed, Ryan Woodyard. From the East Wilkes FFA Chapter, Bryson Calloway. From the Eastern Randolph FFA Chapter, Emma Humphrey. From the Eastern Wayne FFA Chapter, Caitlin Ellis. From the Forbush FFA Chapter, James Thomas. From the Forest Hills FFA Chapter, Casey Adams. From the Franklin FFA Chapter, Jesse Clark, Lexi Gibson, Shelby Messer, Gregory Spalla, Emma Whitworth. From the Freedom FFA Chapter, Jade Manley. From the Fuquay-Varina FFA Chapter, Alexis Denton, Clarissa Singleton. From the Gates County FFA Chapter, Aaron Green. From the Granville Central FFA Chapter, Hunter Bishop, Brittany Morris, Caitlin Woody. From the Grays Creek FFA Chapter, Morgan Herrick, Caleb Horn, Taylor Nail, Larkin Reeves. From the Havelock FFA Chapter, Mackenzie Davis, Cassidy Van Wagenen. From the Heritage FFA Chapter, Nathan Cowley, Antonio Lujan. From the Hobton FFA Chapter, Samantha Britt, Evan Hope, Devin Lee, Anna Cater Meyer. From the Hunt FFA Chapter, Thaddeus Sharp. From the Jesse C. Carson FFA Chapter, Gracelyn Gatton. From the J.F. Webb FFA Chapter, Rebecca Causey, Colin Ellington, John Hobgood, Jocelyn Pocastre Gonzalez, Morgan Ramsey. From the Jordan Matthews FFA Chapter, Samantha Rich. From the Nightdale FFA Chapter, Robert Hodge, Savannah Johnson, Cassidy Nairn. From the Lake Norman FFA Chapter, Savannah Hager. From the Ledford FFA Chapter, Holton East. From the Lumberton FFA Chapter, Chastity Beal, Brooke Blackman, Christopher Connor, Nathan Frank, Devin Hayes, Haley Herring, Chris Holsey, Nolan Jacobs, Tristan Jones, Haley Locklear, Haley McDaniel, Madison McLean, Belle Merlot, Dakota Oxendine, Tavian Pratt, Lacey Rozier, Chloe Schmidt, Brendan Simmons, Jordan Smith, Taylor Stone. From the Madison FFA Chapter, Christian Galicia, Caleb Reeves, Cameron Waldrop. From the Midway FFA Chapter, Danielle Tu. From the Millbrook FFA Chapter, Brenna Carter, Sapna Charbra, Sean Slater, Ashlyn Smith. From the Mitchell FFA Chapter, Joseph Miller. From the Mount Pleasant FFA Chapter, Shelby Mabe, Logan Stansel, Elizabeth Swinson. From the North Buncombe FFA Chapter, Caleb Buckner, Shelby Gentry, Cole Gillespie, Clara Hale, Sarah Rivas, Nolan Tweed. From the North Davidson FFA Chapter, Leanna Byerly. From the North Duplin FFA Chapter, Matthew Evans, Louis Cerna. From the Northeast Carolina Prep FFA Chapter, Joshua Parker, Caden Robinette, Georgiana Whitehurst. From the North Henderson FFA Chapter, Molly Connard Morrow, Richard Sulo III. From the North Iredell FFA Chapter, Ryan Baldwin, Cody Brown, Preston Buchanan, Allison Cook, Laurel Gray, Benjamin Henderson, Patrick Mahaffey, Michael McLean, Trevor Moore, Haven Nicholson, Cassidy Porter, Jacob Williams. From the North Johnston FFA Chapter, Sarah Batten, Cadence Overby. The North Lenore FFA Chapter, Jacob Deaver, Carrie Lynn Deaver, Elizabeth Espino. From the North Moore FFA Chapter, Haley Davis. From the North Stanley FFA Chapter, Jamie Hatley. From the Nursba FFA Chapter, Katie Harris, Autumn Kraft, Tavon Roach. From the Northwest Cabarrus FFA Chapter, Brianna Hanson. From the Northwood FFA Chapter, Bailey Jones. From the Orange FFA Chapter, Lillian Carmichael, William Crabtree, Kelly Finley, Chandler Florence, Kylie Harris, Grayson Hosley, Natalie Marichuk, Alexander Palmer, Natalie Ray, Sydney Thompson. From the Perquimans FFA Chapter, Maggie Williams. From the Piedmont FFA Chapter, Chloe Little. From the Pinecrest FFA Chapter, Kendall Snyder, Kelsey Thompson. From the Pisgah FFA Chapter, Jaden Denty, Trace Geyer, John Harter, Madison Smith. From the Providence Grove FFA Chapter, Sandra Blevins, Abigail Faust, Jaciana Garner, Haley Searcy, Sarah Short. From the Randleman FFA Chapter, Tommy Brady, Cassidy Sharp. From the Richlands FFA Chapter, Makila Apodaca Rivera, Aaron Bryan, Caitlin Ferrier, Nicholas Hensley, Whitney Lawrence, Colton Lovejoy, Jordan Thompson. From the Rollsville FFA Chapter, Brittany Atkinson, Evan Mead, Isabel Tawagan. From the Rosewood FFA Chapter, Kaylee Merritt. From the South Caldwell FFA Chapter, Thomas Joplin. From the South Iredell FFA Chapter, Hannah Ball, Courtney Widmer. From the South Johnston FFA Chapter, Lance Adams, Matthew Barefoot, Emily Eldridge, Joshua Williams. From the South Rowan FFA Chapter, Cody Beringer, Nolan Udy, Lauren Shell. From the South View FFA Chapter, Elizabeth White. From the Southeast Guilford FFA Chapter, Casey Woodard. From the Southern Alamance FFA Chapter, Nicholas Cooper, Hudson Toomey. From the Southern Guilford FFA Chapter, Logan Beeman, Andrew Jones, Anihia Mills Weidman, Timothy Weems. From the Southside FFA Chapter, Jocelyn Leva. From the Southwestern Randolph FFA Chapter, Michaela Cole, Joshua Hogan, Walker Hopkins, Cameron Kelly, Trip Mabe, John McDowell. From the Spring Creek FFA Chapter, Nicole Martinez Avila, Destiny Wilson. From the Sun Valley FFA Chapter, Katie Presley, Brenner Robinson. From the Topsail FFA Chapter, Grace Carroll, Jesse Jewis, Shyla Rogers, Luke Stewart. From the Tuscola FFA Chapter, Jonathan Smart, Joseph Smart. From the Union Pines FFA Chapter, Amy Cadell, Jacob Murphy, Jordan Williams. From the Uwharrie Charter FFA Chapter, Alexis Barrington, Gavin Brady, McKenna Emery. From the Vance Charter FFA Chapter, Isabella Johnson. From the Wake Forest FFA Chapter, Daniel Cabler. From the Wallace Rose Hill FFA Chapter, Owen Murray. From the Watauga FFA Chapter, Clay Hageman, Bethany Hicks. From the West Brunswick FFA Chapter, Ian Bowen, Ramey Derrick, Luke King. From the West Carteret FFA Chapter, Savannah Bell, Taylor Bird, Matthew Coffey. From the West Davidson FFA Chapter, Peyton Leonard. From the West Rowan FFA Chapter, McKenna Clifton, Jesse Klein, Cindy Connolly, Joshua Corrier, Lauren Hayes, Colby Minius, Chloe Patterson, Gavin Staton, Eli Wetmore, Mira White, Abigail Wilson. From the Western Harnett FFA Chapter, Noah Bradley, Ryan Curran, Jessica Eckenrod, Cal Fulmer, Eli Godfrey, Chesley Johnson, Jeb Manning, Trey Stone, Savannah Worrell. From the Wheatmore FFA Chapter, Josie Holmes. From the White Oak FFA Chapter, Tori Arfkin, Leah Butzer, Kayla Duffy, Charity Jordan.